Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi Mark, and thank you to everyone who's here with us today. Candidly, I was just like so many of you, I was shaking this weekend, and I spent a lot of time asking myself, what do I say today? And the responsibility feels great to be in the space with you. And I'm honored to be here and just want to share that just as much as you are holding, I'm holding with you. And so what I'm sharing today, I hope I just know that it comes from my heart, and I hope it offers some peace to you all. So in Pirkei Avot, our ancient collection of ethical wisdom, we learn about Nosei Ba'ol im Havero. I'll share that in the chat, which translates to share the burden with one's friend. I'll say it again, Nosei Ba'ol im Havero, to share the burden with one's friend. I'm putting that in the chat now so you can read it with me. Today we come together to do exactly that, to share the burden of what we're all carrying. Alex Preddy was killed by ICE. And I was just sharing with Mark that I actually feel in some way close to this, connected to this person. A friend of mine is friends with him. They've been friends for decades. They were even in a partnership. And I came to know that over the weekend. Renee Good was killed by ICE. Over 30 people, almost all of them Latino or people of color, have died in ICE detention in 2025, with many more deaths going unreported when people are released from custody just before death. We gather here holding this grief and fear alongside our yearning for something sacred, for something that might hold us. I'm joining you today with a heavy heart as someone who has been shaken by what's happening in our country. As a Latina, and as someone born from a family that sought refuge in this country not that long ago, as someone who walks around this nation looking the way that I do. I'm also someone who turns to faith, practice, and wisdom when I feel scared for my communities or even for myself. I've been looking for evidence of God's presence these days. And when there's so much pain, my spirit wants to know, are we alone? Can I have hope? And I believe that many of you are asking the same questions. So we begin by sharing this burden together, by naming what is true, and by refusing to carry it alone. It's not the first time that we are living in a time of darkness, wondering if we will see the light again, a world of peace. In fact, we know this intimately as Jewish people. When I look back at the history of our people, I see a pattern that repeats across generations. I see suffering and displacement, and I also see survival, faith, mutual responsibility, and agency. I think of Esther standing up to Haman, Moses facing Pharaoh, conversos like my ancestors resisting to abandon their faith, uprisings against discrimination, faith upheld in the darkest of places. And at the same time, in learning about my Salvadorian roots, I see the same pattern, a people turning to faith and prayer for strength, while also taking action, organizing, resisting. Our ancestors looked back to God's saving acts of the past to find hope, but they always knew that they had to move, to act, to care for one another. How did they get through, and how can we? I believe change happens where faith and action meet. Our faith, our prayer, our connection to something greater than ourselves, this gives us hope and strength when we feel powerless. It reminds us that we are not alone, and it fills us with the courage to keep going. And our action, that is the agency we hold, the choice we make every single day to show up for each other, to care for our communities, to build the world we need. We are told in Torah, choose blessing, choose goodness, choose life. This is our inheritance. We have always known that spirituality is not separate from how we live. Prayer is not separate from how we care for our neighbors. I've been sitting in silence and prayer for peace and healing these days. And in that silence, I've come to understand that we are meant to be partners with the divine. We pray for miracles, we ask for deliverance. We must also trust in our own hands and our own capacity to create change. God, the divine, whoever resonates most with your spirit, God loves courage. The divine needs us to be courageous, to check in on our neighbors, especially immigrant neighbors who may be afraid, to organize know your rights training, share information, to accompany people when it's safe, to donate when we have the means, to call our representatives and demand accountability, to show up at city council meetings, to demand sanctuary policies. These are not small things. These are acts that have sustained our people through every exile, every persecution, every moment of despair. Today, I want to share the song At the Sea. Ozi v'zimratya v'yehi li lishua. My strength and my song is God, and God has become my salvation. These are the words and these are the words Miriam and the Israelites sang at the edge of the Red Sea, having just crossed through. Behind them, slavery and oppression. Before them, wilderness and uncertainty. This is the song they sang when they were exhausted, when they didn't know what came next, when they could have sung nothing at all. But I want to share, let's listen to what this verse teaches us. Ozi, meaning my strength, is our human capacity, our agency. Vizimratya, and my song to God, that's our faith, our prayer, our spiritual practice. Vayehi li lishua, and this becomes my salvation, not was, but becomes. It emerges as we bring our strength and our song together. Our ancestors stood at the sea and witnessed a miracle. The waters split, but they still had to walk through. They still had to take the step into the unknown. The miracle met their movement. The divine power met their human agency. And on the other side, they didn't collapse in exhaustion. They sang, they danced, they proclaimed. They chose to make meaning from their survival. We need miracles today. We are crying out for the violence to end, for justice to prevail, for safety and peace. And we must also remember we have to walk through, not with grand gestures, not by putting ourselves at risk, but with the sacred, steady work of caring for each other. Call your neighbors. Learn about what's happening. Learn what know your rights, what that means, and share that information. Offer to be a witness. Accompany people to appointments. Donate if you can. Again, call your senators and city council. Organize rapid response. Cook a meal for a family dealing with deportation. Hold peace in your heart. Show up. Ozi v'zimrat, my strength and my song. my strength and my song, both the song and the strength. When we bring our faith and our action together, we become partners in the work of healing this world. And no se ba'olim chavero, we carry this burden together, not alone, never alone. So now I invite us into a meditation with these ancient words as our anchor. This song that our people have been singing for thousands of years, through every form of darkness and every dawn of liberation. I'll share the words in the chat if they resonate. And as you read them, as you say them, allow these words to move through you, to move through us, to remind us that we carry both strength and song, that we are partners in this sacred work. And so as you find a position that is comfortable, that allows you to stand tall and courageous, allows your breath to move through you, we'll sit together at this meeting place where faith and action become change, where we share the burden with one another, and where we find the courage to keep going. I invite you to find that position. You can start to connect with your breath, inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. When you're ready, let these words carry you into meditation. Ozi v'zimratia, bayahili lishua. My strength and my song is God, and God has become my salvation. Wherever you are, becoming aware of your breath. Becoming aware of your strength and your song. Noticing your inhales and your exhales. And gently calling your energies back into your body, back into your space, taking your time. And as you slowly come back, if you'd like to transition into this space with softness, you can bring your palms together in front of your heart space, feeling all of your fingers connect, your hands connect. Begin to build some warmth in your hands. And then gently place your palms just over your eyes. Slowly flutter your eyes open, bringing yourself back to this space, to this community where we find strength in being together. Thank you all for being here today. It was an honor to meditate with you.
Thank you so much, Mariposa, for sharing your heart and wisdom, guiding us so beautifully at a time when we really need it so much. So thank you. It was really a gift today. And friends, let's take this moment to honor the losses that we're holding today. You can put the name or names of those you'd like to honor as we recite Mourner's Kaddish. You can put them in the chat now or after we recite Kaddish. If you're not reciting Kaddish, as always, we ask you to please stay present for a minute to support those who are. And if you are joining me, please rise in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this time. Buchdahl, Kadash, Rabba,
Amen.
Yama Vira Hite, Yami Malkute, Hayeko,
Yes, Israel.
Agalah, Shme Rabba
Slama Rabba Michamaya. Elena Bialkosh El Bimru Amen. Shalom Bimamal Shalom Shalom El Bialko El Toya Yamru Amen.
Amen.
Friends, thank you so much for joining us today. Very moving to see how many of you were here today, and grateful for this opportunity to show up for each other and hold this space. And gonna put into the chat lineup of our teachers for the rest of this week. Hope you can join us for any or all of our sessions. We have a beautiful lineup of teachers the rest of this week. Again, at a time when we really need this practice so badly. Thanks to Mariposa Dueñas of Jutini & Co. for leading us and guiding us so beautifully today. You can see that really the teaching and practice so resonant. And thanks to Harry Goboa for faithfully holding our space today. For those of you who are joining us maybe for the first time today, or haven't joined us for a while, we're here Monday through Fridays at this time. All our sessions are live streamed on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. The recordings are posted on our YouTube channel. So if you'd like to revisit this session or any other sessions, you can do so just by going to our YouTube channel and subscribing. We also have a podcast we call Jewish Meditation for Everyone that features some of these daily sessions. And you're welcome, of course, to subscribe to that as well. It's called Jewish Meditation for Everyone, and it's produced by none other than Harry Gilboa. You are invited to stay on, either just to continue to sit and breathe and settle yourself with the container of this group. You can turn the sound off on your device, or you can join us for conversation with Mariposa about today's session. And if you have a question you'd like to ask, as always, I ask that you please just write question all in caps before the question in the chat. And I'll try to keep an eye out for your question, working into the conversation. Well, that was what the doctor ordered, I'd say, from speaking personally. So thank you very much, Mariposa, really. I'm not even sure where to begin. I guess I'd like to begin with that Pirkei Avot that you quoted. And people may not be familiar with this, but it's a very significant teaching in Pirkei Avot. And I'm going to actually share my screen so we can look at the whole context for a minute so that people can get that. And I'll put the link to this, by the way, in the chat in a moment. But it's the beginning of it says, Gedolah Torah yoter min hakuhuna umin hamalchut, that Torah is greater than the priesthood and greater than the kingship. Because kingship is acquired by 30 degrees and priesthood is acquired by 20 degrees, but Torah is acquired by 48 things, Devarim. And that includes the phrase that you referred to, Noseh v'ol im chaviro. Down here, one, where is it? Yeah, one who shares in the bearing of a burden with one's chaver, with one's colleague. As I was looking at that list, I was thinking, I almost felt overwhelmed by the power of the list of kindnesses and practices that are so sorely lacking in our world today, and such medicine, really. So thank you for drawing us to that. But let's focus on that question of literally bearing the it would literally, that means yoke, really. Literally it means yoke, like the burden, it's translated as burden. I just want to invite you to say a little bit more about that. There are so many ways to understand that. First of all, we're doing that right now with this group, right? Everyone here is showing up. Everyone here is carrying their own personal burden. It might be very personal, it might be social, it might be whatever it is. We all have our, quote, burdens to bear. And it is what we get from this teaching is that it's a sacred action. It's a holy action to collectively bear those burdens and to show up and to feel that others also will bear our burden, right? So I'm not sure there's a question here, but I guess I want to invite you to elaborate on that. I just am thinking that is such the essential teaching of this moment that I just want to lift that up.
Thank you for the invitation to speak about it. And I have to credit Rabbi David Jaffe again, because this was a text that I learned from him in our Musar study. And I learned that in the last couple of years, which has just continued to feel like one burden after another. I mean, from 2020, I mean, the world has always had its burdens, but things started to really feel heavy from that time. It's just been stacking, right? And so when I was talking to God last night, and I was like, God, what do I say to these people? What do I say to myself? What do I hold in this time? And I looked to my resources and I saw that, and it struck me that the greatest medicine to humanity is to be together. And that is part of our collective care that we've been practicing since the beginning of time, is that it's embedded in our culture to be in a minyan and to be in a community, and that nothing is done alone or in isolation. And I think about how that is just every civilization's practice is to be in community.
Right.
Certainly when I think about how it is in El Salvador too, it's a very collective consciousness. And in a world where there's so much separation and the
Mhm.
powers that be are banking on us not coming together and not helping
Yeah.
each other. And
Right.
I all of this to say, I think that um, it is so easy. It is so, and it makes a lot of sense for people to just feel scared and to isolate. And I think our world has been kind of shaped that way to be very individualistic, but the antidote to that is to be collective and to come back together and
Right.
to hold one another and just to recognize not only are we all in this together, but we can manage this together. When we come together, we are stronger and not in just like a
Mm-hmm.
cheerful kind of way,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
what are the little things that you and I can do to support someone and how that can have a ripple effect. So when in trying to make sense of all of this impossible moment in my mind, um, just coming back to our humanity is really the call here because we're seeing such an absence of humanity. So that's the
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful. And then you also tied this in with this week's Torah portion,
Mhm.
which fittingly is Bishalach. It is the
Yeah.
actual description of Bnei Israel leaving the narrow place of Mitzrayim, crossing through the sea and singing the song as you referred to it, and the line Ozi b'zimrat Yah, Vahili Lishua. Um, I'm thinking about the actions of the Israelites in painting the doorposts of their houses, right? And with the blood as an
Mhm.
act, which in our tradition is seen as an act of, basically as an act of civil disobedience in that context, right? That they had the courage to affirmatively mark their houses and
Mhm.
say, count me in. And to see, imagine thinking about people imagining if you're the only one doing that and going out on a limb, it would be one thing. But if you see other people doing it and drawing strength and courage. So I guess my question there is to address I think, human anxiety and fear about taking on the burden of others,
Mhm.
feeling in some way like there might be
Yeah,
a defensiveness of, oh, I've got my own
of
stuff, right,
course.
to
Yeah.
carry. It's too much to take on the burden. I don't know. What do you think about that? How do we, if we
Yeah.
notice that in ourselves, like I've got enough problems, right? I can't, or
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
flooded, with so many, like which way to turn, where to help. I know people are quite overwhelmed by the array of, like who to give to and what to support and how to
Yes.
help
Yes.
is paralyzing. And as a result, people can shut down. So what helps there, you think?
Well, first of all, it's all very valid because we are expected to function as if everything is normal.
Hmm.
We are expected to go to work and take care of our obligations and fulfill all of our commitments. And the world doesn't stop, even though there's one tragedy after another. And there's a psychologically this is dissonant.
Hmm.
It's not right. And I think it's I can share for myself. Um, and I felt tears welling up in me in the meditation. I just allowed them to fall because I realized that um my first response when I read the news about Alex Preddy and Renee Good, I felt numb. I felt a numbness, and I think that that's a totally real response that I think some of us feel like how do I hold all of this while also needing to take care of my family, my responsibilities, my work, etc. It's all too much. It is. Truly, it is so
Yes.
much.
Yeah.
Um, and we're here. So what do we do, right? And I think on one hand it's fair to say, whoa, 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 I can't handle this. I mean, I'm doing XYZ in my life, and that's all consuming. I'm suffering my own losses,
Hmm.
whatever that might be,
Hmm. Hmm.
and to look away. And I don't blame people for that. I actually understand it. And at the same time, if we all do that, then we're not bearing witness and we're not moving into that sacred change work. And so
Mhm.
I'm also trying to figure out what that means to find that balance. But I'm hoping that we can create a universe for ourselves in which we are both moving through our lives and caring for ourselves the best as we can, because
Mhm.
unfortunately we don't have the luxury to stop. And at the same time, be aware and take any bit of action that is within our means and our capacity.
Right.
And there's many paths on this way to change and hope and peace. You have the people who write, you have the people who speak, you have the people who fight, you have the people that feed, you have the people that bring people together and sing songs. Everyone has their role. And so if yours is making a donation, if yours is calling a neighbor, if yours is making a meal, if yours is writing about it, or just simply meditating and holding that peace in your heart, at least it's something. And I don't want people to feel, because I've certainly felt this in other moments in recent history when we've been faced with tragedy and violence and anger. I would get frustrated. I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough, but I'm also balancing a lot. And so holding that compassion and that, and for all of those things, but doing what you can.
Mhm.
Even if it's just taking 5 minutes to call a senator or just to find out what's going on. And also in the context of IJS and the work that we're doing here, meditating is important. And holding that peace in our hearts is important so that we can hold that for people who, if someone approaches you totally in um, just in fear, you have the capacity to hold them. And then they can be there for you when you need it too.
All great. Let's I'm just gonna
I think,
let's just
I,
yes, yeah, let's just bottle what you just said, and that's great. And I also want to in the chat, Roberta wisely points out like there are so many different facets, like as well as even with this winter storm, what shouldering the burden of the other includes being
yeah,
aware of people being isolated, not being, with not having resources, living in anxiety and fear about not having power, whatever it might be, and reaching out. So I think one of the things that you said, I think this is so incredibly helpful, is that I find helpful anyway, is remembering that a small step isn't, is
mm,
enough. When I feel overwhelmed, I know that and I feel frozen by that, then I know it's the antidote usually is just to take one small step,
mhm,
even in thinking it might be very insignificant or not matter, and it makes a big difference, and it builds on itself. And we need all the things you talked about, including the holding this space and honoring all those feelings, honoring every single emotion that is coming up for
mhm,
people right now, including numbness, and honoring trauma, that comes up,
absolutely.
from.
And mhm.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to add something else too that you know, I don't want to miss the opportunity to remind myself and everyone that it is so important to be kind and to be human. And even just thinking about these little daily interactions, like if you go to the store and or you're ordering a coffee or you're on a Zoom meeting for work or whatever it might be, just let's be kind to one another. We're all feeling all of this, certainly on an energetic level, whether we're conscious of it or not. And then especially if you're conscious of it, you're really feeling it. And we have to push things down because we have to keep moving through. So just holding the opportunity to be kind, and especially in your neighborhood, in your world where there are people who are afraid, people who are immigrants, people who are looking over their shoulder, being especially kind, authentically, and
Yeah,
finding ways to support those humans as well.
yeah, yeah. Well, okay, we're at time. Mariposa, thank you. Kimberly, can't thank you enough. This was
You.
really such an important and beautiful way to begin the week, and coming out of the weekend on all the various storms, storms of weather and the storms in our society and among our people. Thank you for reminding us, why we do this and what we're here for. Very, very appreciative to you and to Harry for holding our space, and each of you for showing up. You may know of people who would benefit from our daily sit. So if you do, and people who are not aware of it, please, as always, we encourage you to spread the word, invite them to check it out. You don't have to be a meditator. You don't have to. And you might think, oh no, I can't do that, or it's not for me. But I think many people might find this helpful who might not otherwise find it on their own. So it's another way of supporting each other in these times, is reaching out and encouraging people to join us. So the door is always open, and of course, no experience or experience is needed at all. Okay, with that, we hope to see you all tomorrow to practice with Cantor Careth Spencer Shapiro. Thanks again, Mariposa and Harry. Many blessings, everyone. Please stay safe, stay warm, stay well, and we're here for you. Take good care.
Thank you.